Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy. This is day 7 of the 12 days of Yule. And happy Boxing Day if you're watching this in real time. The 12 days of Yule, if you're jumping in now, is my daily practice where I go from December 20th through the 31st. And I treat this time of year as a time to be aspirational, to think about what I may want to continue to work on, carry from 2025 into 2026. What I may want to have come to a close, come to a culmination, so that I can allow for new opportunities to come through, begin to work on new projects, and just be a bit more holistic in my approach. It's so easy to have one goal and then treat it like one big thing, but life is always more than one thing. And with that, I do have prompts that I'll be sharing that are informing how I'm going to be honing in on my petitioning for this daily ritual. If you are someone who is not terribly witchy, you could treat it like a good end of year activity to kind of get your head on right, to think about 2025 and 2026. If you are a practitioner, you could follow along with me in real time or as you're watching it. You could also treat it like that journaling exercise. You could treat it more like witchy pre-work to hone in on what you may want to spell cast around throughout 2026. So lots of different opportunities for figuring out how this could help you. With this being day 7 of the 12 days of Yule, because we're following the house system in astrology as our guiding star, this means that today is a 7th house day. The 7th house in astrology is all about committed partnerships. And that is both as simple and possibly complicated as it may sound. The 7th house is also, we're at the point where we've hit a little bit over the halfway mark. Now is where we're beginning to get into the houses that are going to be opposing other houses. So we were going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we're at 7, where the 7th house is opposing the 1st house. That is where we can get really juicy and consider how these things that are operating on an axis inform each other, are in opposition to each other directly across the wheel. The 7th house is this contrast of self versus other. So the 1st house is the self, is me. The 7th house is about the other. Is due to the 7th house being just above the horizon line in the Western Hemisphere, which further affirms this whole otherness. So we're really getting into marriage, partnership, open enemies, open conflicts, lawsuits, and counseling relationships. Those are all of the different ways that I think we could begin to think concretely about it. To be even more in the weeds, it could be clients, it could be people that we're serving, people that we hire, it could be our therapists, it could be a lot of different things. It's funny to think about in this way, but we did note open conflict, open enemies. We are, in a sense, committed to being in some kind of conflict with somebody when we have an enemy. I think we see played out in a lot of different ways in pop culture. I immediately think of The Dark Knight with the whole Batman Joker axis, that one needs the other in a sense. So there are a few different ways that we can think about the 7th house, that it can truly be as simple as we want it to be. It can be a matter of attraction, about who we want to keep close. Then there's that other side of it, of there are people who we end up in each other's orbits, we end up overlapping, and maybe we just can't stand each other. It's a very interesting bit of tug of war, the 1st house against the 7th house, about who I am and then who you are, and is there a possible imbalance here, figuring out that give and take. So in that sense, if you've been following along, it could be very curious to see what comes up as it pertains to the petitions or the things you began to jot down around the 1st house themes as it related to the self. Consider, as always, the ruler for your astrology chart, if you have that information, who is the ruler of your 7th house. I'm a Libra rising, so my 7th house ruler is Aries, and Saturn in Aries already felt a shift. It was definitely this tug of war between me and my sense of who I am, the identity I want to come into, and also the responsibility that I have to partners, to relationships, to my spouse, anybody that I'm connected to. And really, that question of, am I pouring more in? Am I committing to the right things? Are these connections really good long term? Am I willing to invest in these commitments long term? So a lot of that. But yeah, let's get into the questions because I feel like that'll really help to anchor us a bit more into what it feels very big and broad topic, subject area. What are some of your deepest fears around committing to other people? What baggage from past relationships has fed that fear? And are you quick to commit or resistant? Or maybe you're a bit more guarded? I think it's also a great time to think about, if you are a magical practitioner, thinking about your magical work as it relates to other people, how it exists in relationship to other people. That self-other axis that we keep talking about. Is there healing magic that you maybe need to do around you and others that could help facilitate recovering from past hurt? I'm not a glamour witch. I am a chaos witch. I do like to apply some glamour principles to my work, and more specifically around healing magic. I'm more focused on how am I perceiving me and how do I feel about me, helping me shift my sense of self versus really thinking about how am I affecting how other people perceive me. No shade to anybody who is a glamour witch. As somebody who's unmasking their neurodivergence, I did realize that glamour magic on other people was reinforcing the unmasking that I'm trying to do. Doing glamour magic for me, on me, has been a lot more affirming and has felt more supportive and does not trigger that same dissonance or that reinforcement that I'm trying to avoid. So how much aura work and attraction work do I need to maybe focus on doing inwardly? And then when do I want to feel the pendulum shift and begin focusing on attracting when I am in a place where I can really discern what is and isn't aligned? Is marriage something that intrigues you at all? Is it a priority at all? Are you monogamous or are you poly? Do you feel stuck in monogamy, or do you feel like you're doing poly to keep your partner happy? Are you sticking to one version or another because you want to prioritize the other person, but it's not really making you feel fulfilled? Do you want to focus on breaking down walls or reworking how you approach commitment? Do you feel like you begin very open and then shut out at the first sign of any issues or when you perceive problematic behavior? Why did your last relationship end? What can you learn from that experience? Did it teach you anything about you? Did it teach you how you want to be treated in the future? If you're in a partnership of any kind, platonic, romantic, business, what do you want to stop doing as a unit? Do you feel like you need to begin to do things a little differently, either as a couple, as friends? How can you reset the paradigm that you've established for yourselves? What do you think is the key to a healthy relationship? Is this present currently in any of the relationships that you have right now? Or is it a matter of beginning to ask for that, define it, to begin to build that out in tangible ways? Is there trust in your friendships? Is there equity? Do you feel like there's an exchange? Do you feel like there is an even enough exchange where you feel held and supported and that you're able to contribute things to their lives and that the investments are mutually appreciated, that you feel poured into, that they feel poured into? If you're a freelancer, business owner, who is drawn to you? How do you serve the people that you serve? Do you serve them in a short-term basis or in a long-term basis? Are you speaking to them in a way that'll resonate with them? Are you meeting them where they are at the pace that they need? Are you marketing yourself in such a way where they will be able to resonate with what you're saying, relate to you, and have their needs be met? Is there a balance of power in your working relationships? How do you deal with conflict? Do you shut down? Do you escalate things? Is there resentment, big or small, that you've been holding on to lately as it relates to your committed relationships? If you cannot escape somebody who drives you crazy, then what can you do to maybe smooth things over if it's truly unavoidable? Is there a conversation that can be had because there is this understanding that I can't stand you and you can't stand me? Or it could be a matter of asking for support from a more neutral third party or somebody who cares about the both of you and is able to mediate or to help be more of a buffer. Is it time for a cord cutting, either full on or a partial cord cutting? I've run a ritual a few times over that blends writing like hypersigil magic with cord cutting, with intention setting and manifestation thereafter. It's called obituary magic. Is it time for some of that? Clarifying, cutting, and then claiming what it is that you do want. I think anything to do with relationships can be so deeply complicated because we could treat them like either or, could treat it like they were fully in the right, we're fully in the wrong, whatever it might be. But it's always more complicated than that for a number of reasons. Going back to how the wheel itself is constructed, it is helpful to think about the self versus who we are with other people, because I think it adds a good dimension to how nuanced all of that even is. That there is the you that you're trying to exist as and put out there in the world, and there's the you as it relates to who you're drawing in and who you may want to be involved with, how you might find the people that you're involved with, either professionally or romantically or as friends. I think it could be so deeply healing on its own to even reflect on that, because it's so easy to shame ourselves for not having friends, or for not being closer to our friends, or for having a lot of life happen and not being able to connect more with the people that we care about. So I want to give you a little bit of that affirmation that it's complicated. It's hard to have adult friendships. It's even hard to be a part of larger friend groups. It requires more work. And I think that can be important work worth doing. Don't hesitate to even think about manifesting friendships if that is an area that is lacking, or even thinking about how can I, even doing some divination around how can I make more room for certain friendships? How do I call in more friendships in the new year? That could also be very supportive right now and looking ahead to see how can you begin to connect more, put yourself out there more, and not feel so much like you're on an island on your own. Because yes, the self is a part of our wheel, but so is other people. And we cannot fully avoid other people. So it's a matter of being more reflective and thoughtful about what is this axis? What are we working for, against? How are we not being supported enough? How are we maybe not showing up for other people in the ways that they deserve to be? And that's no shade to anybody. We're all doing our best, I believe. That's my personal thing. I am more idealistic sometimes than I think I may let on, but I do think that most people are trying. I think it's a matter of thinking about, if you've been following along, your third housey things of how you communicate, letting yourself be out there, put yourself out there more. Think about leveraging your third house prompts or the things that you may want to call in for the new year around the third house and communication to help facilitate some of the work that comes along with the seventh house themes, because you have to be able to communicate to make relationships work. That's what a lot of this even hinges on, is either being able to be honest with yourself and to communicate with you, or to be able to communicate with the others. I'm gonna cut it here. I want to thank you all for watching today's video. I want to thank the patrons who sponsored this video. I want to thank Georgia, Karina, Jess, Laura, the Wowels, and Mallow for being a part of the Conjurer tier. I invite you all to consider joining my Patreon at any of the tiers, because you get a shout out like this, and I get to keep making this video for you all. And do let me know if the obituary magic ritual workshop is something you're wanting me to bring back. I would be more than happy to, just a matter of picking when. I have a few ideas about when I might do it, but if there's more interest around us doing it more quickly, then I might bump it up the calendar. Thank you all. I will see you all for day 8. Bye for now.